Calls for accountability and change are still ringing on the campus of Michigan State University months after Larry Nassar learned he will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
The fallout also continues for survivors and their families who are confronting the impact of this abuse at home. Szatkowski has more on one woman's struggle for recovery.
Leaning on loved ones for strength, Larissa Boyce confronted Nassar, one of the hundreds to display their courage in court. But the recovery from this abuse and the Nassar prosecution, the entire process, putting a strain on her relationship with her once close-knit family.
So I was definitely very angry, and I took that anger out on my family, too. Especially my dad.
About 6 months into a cycle of Larry Nassar's abuse, Larissa Boyce gave up the sport that defined her.
It was almost my identity also. I didn't know what to do after that. I mean, it took up so many hours after school of, practicing 20, 25 hours a week. And then going from that to 2 hours of track, for a small season. I didn't know what to do.
Larissa started gymnastics when she was 5 years old. Her parents, William and Barb Michelle, say their little girl was a natural.
She had a lot of spunk and was very active, and she was just this little thing, and she just seemed like a good fit.
Even Spartan Youth Gymnastics and then MSU head coach Kathy Klages had high hopes for her, saying Larissa was capable of competing for the Spartans one day. Then Larissa's parents say the tone changed.
But Larissa has this problem with she's attention-seeking. She seems to be somebody who wants to, just a little bit. And she didn't tell me anything of what that meant. But we have a lot of good hopes for her. We really want to see her succeed here. And so, putting it all together, now I realize she didn't tell me what had happened with Nassar and all this stuff, but was aware of it.
That tone coming around the same time Larissa says she came forward to Klages about the abuse. It's continued guilt for her mother, missing the clues, coping with an illness of her own at the time.
I was in bed for how many years? Like 15 years with chronic migraine. Some days I couldn't even get out of bed. And I think, well, that's probably why she didn't really tell us, because she didn't want to put more on us at the time.
Instead, the Michelles say Larissa took to writing in a journal they only found just recently.
It was all negative and dark and hopeless, and I thought it was just the typical teenager. It wasn't.
Larissa's husband, Adam, says that darkness emerged in 2016 when abuse allegations involving Nassar went public.
She was in bed a lot, couldn't function, constantly crying, couldn't sleep, and it was a really stressful time. It was pretty awful.
Knowing what they know now, the Michelles struggle with what if.
You just keep thinking, where was I? What was I? How did I not get this? How did I not figure this out? And to realize that had they listened to her, 98% of all of this would have not happened.
Looking back, they say they wish there'd been a conversation about inappropriate touching and abuse.
I think it would have prevented this with our daughter.
A conversation Larissa and Adam are invested in having with their own children.
We still have to be cautious, and we have to make sure that we're asking our kids the right questions. We need to be intentional with our children.
If they ever feel uncomfortable, that they always can talk to mommy or daddy. It has made me much more aware of who a predator could be in the grooming process.
Well, now Larissa is turning her focus to Michigan State University, working to hold them accountable for their role in Nassar's decades of abuse. In studio, Szatkowski, Fox 17 News.